Need something to help perk you up for prepping your next D&D session? Or maybe you need to chill out before bed after some amazing RP? Well, Mini Worlds Tavern has you covered with an assortment of coffees and teas to get you through your day. Can't decide? Get on their monthly subscription plan and get a new coffee or tea to your mailbox every month, along with a set of dice, a sticker, and a homebrewed item or spell for your next character build. Use code Shelly for 10% off your next order. Again, that's code Shelly, SHELLY, for 10% off your order, excluding the monthly subscription. Drink well, roll better. Mini Worlds Tavern. Hello, and welcome back to the last time this season for After the Table, a TTRPG podcast. It's me, Shelly. Can you believe it, y'all? I can't believe it that we've been through 3 seasons so far. 3 seasons, a year and a half of making this podcast, and I want to thank you all for listening and commenting and liking and subscribing where you want to. I greatly appreciate it, and I want to thank all the guests that we've had this season. It feels just like yesterday that I was talking to Wes about his music, and I mean, y'all know how much I love a theme, and I like to stay on theme for the most part, and I thought, why not end the season with another bard in the TTRPG space? This artist and performer is a 2-time Crit Award nominated singer-songwriter, content creator, and professional nerd. Welcome to the table, Grace, aka Ghostlight G. Hey! Hi! Hi, hello. For those who might not know who you are, let the people know.
Yeah, so like Shelly said, I am a bard in the TTRPG space. I am a lifelong nerd. I am just a little guy who does little guy things on the internet. I'm a fucking weirdo, I guess. I don't know. I'm so bad at describing what it is that I do.
I think we're all weirdos. The fact that we play make-em-ups for entertainment purposes, it's like, yeah, we're kind of weirdos. We are the weirdos, mister. There you go. But yeah, no, I understand all too well when people are like, introduce yourself. I'm like, hey, it's me. I make content.
I stream. I should be so much better at it. I'm just so not.
I don't like talking about myself sometimes unless I absolutely have to. And I'm like, hey, hi, okay, bye.
Oh, I think the funniest intro I ever did was on a panel where I was just like, hi, I'm here.
So real. You're like, I'm awake. You're welcome.
Basically.
So I think your name that you go by online is very interesting. How did you come up with Ghostlight G? Is there like a fun backstory with all that?
So I have been on the internet for most of my life. You're always like coming up with usernames, and I feel like there's everybody's first username, which is really embarrassing most of the time. That is like, oh god, why did I do that? And like I think I was in high school when I came up with Ghostlight G, and it was finally I was just like, I want one that I'm happy with, that I will stay happy with. And originally it was a gamer tag, but it's also like, if you're a theater girly, a ghost light is the light they put in the theaters. They don't really do it anymore, but like theaters are very old and very haunted places, and so this was a thing like more in like the 50s, and I don't know why they stopped doing it, maybe to save on electricity or something, but it would literally just be like a stick with a light bulb on it that they would leave center stage to ward off ghosts.
Is that like a good luck thing, like to ward off the ghost, or is it just to be like?
I think it's just that theaters are old and haunted buildings, and theater people are very, very superstitious.
So true.
Like,
I think that's just like performers in general, because I have a superstition of not putting my shoes on like the table that everybody's getting ready on, because it's
Mm.
like a bad luck thing. And somebody did that at a con I was at. Everybody's stuff was on the table and somebody put their shoes like on the table in the green room, and I was like, "Oh, hmm." They're like, "What?" I'm like, it's a thing. I don't know why it's a thing, but it's like a superstitious thing. It it was a whole thing. I felt bad for being like forcing my superstition on somebody that has does not have that superstition, and it's just like, "Oh, here to make you feel comfortable." I'm like, "It's fine. I'm just a weirdo." Again, like we've stated before, we play make 'em ups online. I think we're all a little bit weird. Um, but okay, so theater, how did you get into music though?
So I was a musician first. And uh the sentence left in my brain as I was
Yes.
saying it.
Theater
So
later, you're
helpful.
like
Um,
musician first, theater
so I went
after.
to like a choir concert when I was like 3 with my mom, and apparently I came out of the concert singing some of the songs that I had just heard, and my mother immediately like clocked that and went, "Cool, we're gonna put you in music lessons." And I started with piano. Added violin a little bit later, although I've kind of dropped violin. Kind of dropped. I've dropped violin, like sometime in high school because I was too busy. Um, and then I never really stopped. There was a running joke for a while when I was in middle school that if you gave me like some video tutorials and left me alone in a room with an instrument for like an hour or two, like I would come out and I would know how to play at least the basics of that instrument. um like I've been singing forever. I picked up ukulele at some point when I was 10, and then I taught myself how to play guitar, so it all just kind of snowballs from there. And then theater got added sometime around when I was 10. um Because what do you do with a dramatic, energetic, creative kid but throw them into theater? Um, and so, like, the first production I was in a bridged version of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I played Linus, and we used my actual baby blanket, which was fun. Um, and then I was in a production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat like a year or two after that. Um, and it like something clicked, and I was just like, "Oh, musical theater means I get to combine like dance with all of the other things I enjoy doing. Yay!" uh, like it's to the point where like I have a degree in music and theater. Like,
Ooh.
the
You're
I'm a
like,
nerd
it
that
does
doesn't
something.
stop.
Hey, look, as long as you're able to be happy with your nerdiness, I think that's a thing that people are like, "Oh, you'll eventually grow out of this." And it's like, "No, you don't have to.
No.
You don't
It was a
have
weird
to."
thing though, because like me being into anime and me being into video games, like TTRPGs are the first. I don't even want to call it a hobby because it's like the thing that I do now, but like it was the first thing that I got into that wasn't as like something I shared with my brother. I have an older brother. He's 4 years older than me. And like I got into video games because we would share our consoles. I got into anime because we would watch anime together. And I grew up in the age of like Jetix and 4Kids and Toonami. So I was very lucky that I got to watch a lot of shows as they were premiering in the United States. But it also means that I also have like core memories of the legendary 4Kids tums and what they were, which I adore 4Kids, not because I think that they're good at what they did, but because it's so bad. It's just its own beautiful cultural phenomena. Um, but yeah, like most of that stuff was like I get to share it with my brother. And being in middle school, I went to an all-girls school. For my entire education. From kindergarten to 12th grade, I was at an all-girls school with the same classmates. If you ever have kids, this is what I say to a lot of people, if you ever have kids, at least send them to a different high school.
Diversify.
Uh, or put them in so many extracurriculars that making friends, if they go off to college, does not become like a weird thing for them. I was very lucky. I was very well socialized. My brother and I had too many interests to like really have that be an issue for us. But yeah, I was the kid that like when everybody was into anime, when it was having like their anime phase in middle school, mine never stopped. And suddenly, like, I became the weird kid because I enjoyed watching, like, animation versus watching the, frankly, really shitty movies and TV shows that all the girls in my grade were watching.
I will say the people that I mean, like, I was into anime in high school, so I understand all too well the look that you get whenever you're like Sailor Moon or like whatever your favorite anime is, and people are like, okay, but it's not 90210 or it's not, Charmed. Look, I'm dating myself. I know this, people. I know this.
Remember that I think it was like Sherlock was a big one when I was in high school, which I did end up really really getting into Sherlock, but it was because I really liked the acting performances and not because the writing was good.
The writing was something.
The writing.
I watched it after it. I watched it after it did its thing, and I was like, okay, I could see why people like it. It was something.
Yeah, like, at some point, one winter break, I stayed up all night and watched what at the time was all 3 seasons of Sherlock, and it was right before they announced season 4, so I was like, great.
You're like, I'm ready. I'm raring to go. I'm raring to go. You mentioned it before, but you're famously known for bringing a ukulele to the cons. What has been like one of your favorite memories of doing that, of kind of including music in people's con space?
Oh, I have an easy one for this actually. PAX U 2024. So PAX U not last PAX U, but the one before it, because it's always weird to talk about PAX U because it's always at the end of the year, so all of us are like, eh. But I taught a little part of a song that I wrote to the creator room at PAX U 2024, and everybody like got it really really fast, and like looking back at that video I'm like, oh, I'm friends with like so many people in this room now. That's crazy. And I called it like my Disney Channel moment. I think it was like the most magical moment for me. It was just like having people hear, like being in a room full of people that were singing something that I wrote. I had a similar moment at PAX East last year, where my roommates for that con, which was Whitney, Fish, Dan, and Hannah wasn't one of our roommates, but Hannah Marie was hanging out with us.
Hannah was there.
So Hannah was just like vibing. And we were getting ready to go to karaoke, I think on the first day, and I was just noodling on my ukulele, and I started playing the Hearth Song, which is a song that I wrote for an Atheum one-shot, and all of them were singing along, and I was just like, oh, my friends know my music, my friends know my song. Okay. It was like
I'm gonna cry now. Thank you. Emotions.
I just don't really. Oh man, I was watching Wes's episode actually, literally right before I jumped on, because I was just like, I'm kind of curious what like kind of questions that Wes got asked.
No, nothing important.
And it's like it's something I've always admired about Wes and all of my friends in general, but like there's a confidence in how they talk about their work and like a pride in their work that I don't think I have, but would like to at some point.
Oh,
and
I was about to say, you don't have it yet. You
Yeah.
don't have it yet.
And it's weird, and I don't know how many people really talk about this all that much, but like especially with my TikTok page, especially just being like, here's music that I've written. Um, Man, it's I don't know how to talk about my shit. Like, I'm not good at that. I'm also just surrounded by so many brilliant and amazing people that the imposter syndrome hits on a daily basis. Um, and it sucks because I'm like, oh, they're so good.
No, I understand all too well. It's like getting to know a bunch of people in the space and you're like, "Oh, I just really I have oh,
I'm just a little guy.
I'm just here. I'm just here." And people are like, You're important." I'm like, "No, I'm not. Stop. Don't say nice things about me. I will go hide in a corner. Please stop." Yeah, it's one of those things like even though I'm like proud of the work that I do, it's again talking about the work that I do that I'm like, ugh. I say that and then I submit things for panels and I'm like, oh, okay, we're actually doing this. Great, cool.
I want to be more proud of like the work that I do, especially when I'm
Mhm.
doing like actual play stuff because I've gotten to do
Yeah.
so much now, and I I just love playing games with people. At the end of the day, I'm just happy being at a table with people. And I'm like a little golden retriever that's just like, oh, you want people at a table? I'll do it. I'll do it. Let me do it.
Raise your hand like, please, 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 please.
um,
Uh,
and then like the shows happen, and then at the end of the day, I'm just like everybody else was really good, and I was there.
you're like, I'm just here. Um, what is your go-to karaoke song? You're just
Ugh. I
talking
don't
about karaoke.
really have one. um,
Okay.
well, cause like, man, I get very in my head about karaoke because I'm like, I just want to do something that's fun. I think the last time I went to karaoke, I sang Red Wine Supernova by Chapel Roan. Um,
Great song.
and then
Great
like
song.
the very first time I went, I sang Hello by Adele.
Mm-hmm.
But like karaoke's weird, and it very much depends on the group that you're with. But I have been told my entire life, or not my entire life, but like the entire time that I have been a person that is old enough to have friends that will want to go out to karaoke, um, that singing musical theater is cringe. And I'm like, but I am a musical theater girly, and that is all that I know.
I feel like in the TTRPG space, it's very much not cringe. I feel
I
like
feel a
every
lot
time I
less
see a
weird about
clip,
it now.
every time I see a clip of people at karaoke, because I don't go, because I don't want to be forced to sing or just be there in general, because I don't karaoke. I cannot, even though I used to play music like in a band, I cannot hold a tune to save my life. I'm sure I could probably fix that by taking lessons, but I sound like a dying cat. So like just like thinking about going to karaoke now as an adult that does not drink and does not have like the liquid courage sentiment, I'm like, no, 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 I can't do that.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
good.
I don't drink either. So like,
But on that, the clips I've seen plenty of musical theater at the karaoke
last time I
that
went,
people
like
go.
half of the songs were musical theater songs, and I was like, I have found my people. We're so
The
good.
people are here. Yes. Yeah. Get around the TTRPG nerds that go to karaoke and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're definitely about to go sing like Brent real quick. Let's do
Yeah,
this.
no, it's really fun, especially because like the group that I went with
Mhm.
is like some of my closest friends in the TTRPG space, and it was just so silly. It was so silly and it was so stupid. And we walked in, and for whatever reason, there was like I was either K pop or J pop. I really don't know. There was some song that was playing, and the music video was Maple Story for some reason. And so tired and so confused, and I have a story from PAX East last year where I literally was just like, we're at karaoke, but I don't know what the fuck is going on. What is this song and why is it Maple Story?
The question is why is it not Maple Story?
It was just Maple Story is like that game that everybody
yeah,
knows but nobody plays anymore because they really
that's
don't
true. As soon as what was it? Oh no, I can't remember the name. It's just like Maple Story, but it's not. Nope. It lost my I don't remember. Here, hold on. Let me editor Shelly cut this out. Cut this out. Oh no, I don't have it on my computer anymore. Fuck. Well, that it doesn't matter.
Well,
I'll remember it in the middle of the night and I'll just spring to life and be like, "It's that Stardew Valley." There we go.
oh.
Yeah, there we go. Gosh, the fact that it took me that long. Jeez Louises. How did you get into creating music for TTRPG, like the TTRPG space, though?
So it started with a home game. One specific home game that my friends and I played throughout college. Or rather, it was like the successful one that happened in college that we actually finished. Because we had like a few stop and starts because of schedules and people and blah 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 blah. We had this one game. We called it the Union Show. It was one of the single most ridiculous games I think I've ever played in my entire life, but we have so many good stories from it. Um, like, uh, like Captain Hector Barbosa was one of our big bads. And then he got, like, I don't remember how it happened, but he got turned into a pigeon that ended up being, like, my character's familiar for the rest of the game. And anytime we did, like, detect thoughts on the pigeon that we then had dubbed Bird Bosa, he had a fancy little hat and everything. He was just, like, internal screaming the whole time. This game was so stupid. Like, the
Bird
name of the
Bosa
game was literally just a
so
riff
good.
on the Muppets, so we had a lot of Muppet memes happening.
Oh, that's so funny.
But like, I started writing music idly in between stuff, or I would write like a couple lines of thought. It was just like, hey, like this could be fun. And I had like I'd written a bunch of songs when I was in middle school, and then I stopped songwriting for a really long time because I wasn't like happy with what I was doing. Really didn't enjoy what I was doing for the most part. And then like at some point during COVID, suddenly I was just like, oh, here's a bunch of songs. And a lot of that had to do with like D&D inspiring me to want to write, and also just COVID leaving me bored and not knowing what to do with myself for any time I wasn't in class. So
I understand all too well that like need to fill the space. I was also in college at the time.
yeah.
And so I was just like, well, I'm done. Cool. I don't get physical papers anymore because everything has to be turned in online. I have no work to do.
So it went from just writing like dumb little ditties or writing a sea shanty for that game that ended up covering like the first 11 sessions of just absolute insanity. And that never stopped being insane. And then eventually that turned into, oh, I started writing musical themes because I started composing again. And some of it I still use for like background music or stream music. But it was before I learned how MIDI works, so it was just fully, I had MuseScore open, and I was plinking everything through, and it took me way too long. um, and then it went from that, I'm trying to remember, like, how it ended up being, like, a more of a thing. I just like I kind of started doing it for games that I'm in, and then I never really stopped. And I do a lot of I do a lot of work for like shows and stuff that I'm in. Just for it's because I like doing it. It's only recently I've like started being like, "Hello, I have commission pricing," because I feel weird charging people if it's something that I just wanted to do. So, but doing commissions kind of makes me work a little bit differently. So
Yeah.
that's
What
also like fun in that way.
I mean, on the commission note, what is your process in writing? How do you, I mean, I might have looked at the form. I might have looked at the commission form, maybe. I don't know. We'll we'll just say I looked. What is the on top of the things that people give you, but what is your process of getting started to write, especially if you're not connected with it?
It's a lot of throwing references back and forth, and making sure that I really understand, like, hello, what is the vibe? And then, uh, I try to set people's expectations because I'm like, I have a really simple style, and a lot of the references that we've been throwing out are like very complicated, and I don't write like that. So here's probably closer to what it'll sound like, and I'll send them like Toby Fox or something. Um, which, again, confidence in my work. I'm working on that. That wasn't meant to be a pun, but um, a lot of it's like a lot of like really making sure I understand what the vibes are, coming up with like because there's not really a way to like sketch necessarily. It kind of either is or it isn't. Um, and usually I'll go from like 0 to 100 really really quickly, and I'll be like, here's draft one. That's very very close to like how the final draft will sound, just a little bit more of a hot mess. And then like the final draft is just me going in and actually cleaning it up and making sure that I'm happy ultimately with it. Um and then cursing it's just like absolutely cursing out logic for a little bit if something breaks or I don't know how to fix it. And then either looking it up or sending a message to Wes being like, help me please.
Help! Help me, Wes,
Help.
please, please.
How does this work? I can't find it.
Have you been able to kind of pick his brain and see like what works for you out of the process, out of things that you've learned from him?
I not really. Um like I love watching Wes work. I love watching all my friends work because I just like learn a lot. You learn a lot from watching somebody work on the fiddly bits or from watching somebody like if somebody's working on editing something and they share their screen or you just like happen to be in the room with them while they're editing, seeing how their flow works a little bit differently than like maybe what you're doing or like when they decide to do certain processes. I learn a lot just from like seeing what other people are doing. And then asking a million questions if I think to ask a million questions. But a lot of like uh man, I want to write a song with Wes so badly. We have very different processes of how we work though. And because I'm very much like I will throw a bunch of shit at the wall. And like music and lyrics come pretty much simultaneously for me. Like very much like right as we go. And I think Wes explained it to me at one point that he will do like he'll come up with like the melody first and then he'll figure out the lyrics for that later. Um and he'll have like a idea of kind of the vibe like once he started working that way. And I've never written a song that way. Um so it's very different approaches and I'm like I really want to work with you. And he knows that. Of like I've been saying for a while. I'm just like my brain don't work is the problem.
Well, obviously it works in a way that people love your work and they're commissioning you and nominating you for awards.
The nomination was wild. I did not think that
Hey,
was gonna
not
happen.
just once, but twice. But
Oh
twice.
man.
And probably a third time as we're recording this, the Crit Awards are the nomination process is happening. So
So, I haven't looked at it, but I have heard through the grapevine that you have to self-nominate for a few of the categories.
yeah, there's a few things that are this year it's a little bit different. And I'm
And
like, oh, I like it because I don't have to go through a whole page,
yeah,
like several pages of things just to get to the part that I want to nominate things for. Because I'm like, I don't
the
know
problem is
anything.
I think my category is one of those, and I'm not
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
submit my own shit.
Well, I mean, other people can submit for you. I
It's
think that's still a thing.
wild.
So, but yeah, it's what I mean on the receiving nominations part, how does it feel to know that people admire your work that much and want you to be like hoisted into the
It's very
spotlight more?
it's very much a oh no, I've been perceived kind of thing. Um Especially with the Hearth song, because I man, the really funny considering the song was about imposter syndrome, but when Touch the Sky got nominated, because it was Wes's cover of the song that I wrote after PAX U23, um, and I'm credited as a songwriter. Wes did everything right. He tagged me in everything. He did all of that. People don't read. And so a lot of people did not know that that was a cover of my song. Again, Wes did absolutely everything right. People just don't read descriptions, unfortunately. Um,
The
um,
where can I find this? And it's like it says link here,
like,
person who
here's
wrote
the
it
link,
here.
here's the person who wrote it, blah blah
Here's the
blah blah blah.
explanation. Yeah.
So like with such like having a song that was out under Arcane Anthems that got so big, when Crit Award nominations came up the following year, it was suddenly, oh, I don't think I'm gonna get nominated this year because I don't think that my work is strong enough to stand on its own without somebody who's this good at what they do. And then I got nominated, and I saw a few people during like the 15 minutes I was at the start playing party at Gen Con last year. I ran into a couple people that were like, I think you're gonna win, and I was just like, I don't. I've seen who else is in that category, but that's so sweet of you.
I mean, but it is worth noting that people are one coming up to you and saying, "I liked your work. I believe in your work," and just and
It was between like the nomination and then a bunch of my music was featured on what is the show called? Voices in
brain.
the Woods. Um
Oh, oh,
which is
so
a
good.
Void 1680 uh show that Kendo did. And oh my god, I sent in what at the time was everything I had. Kendo asked for like 2 songs. I was like, here, which was 5
Choose
at the
what you
time.
want.
I had like nothing out at the time. Um, and then all of the music that I sent to Kendo was used in some way, shape, or form by the end of that series run. And in like the recap thing, there was like a show notes thing that they did at the end of the show, and a bunch of people were like giving me shout outs. And I met C from Transplaner, who was one of the people who used one of my songs at PAX East in 2025. And both of us were like, "Oh my god, I love your work!" On the floor, and it was the most surreal moment. And I became mutuals with like every single musician that was on that, because the thing that Kendo did, if anybody has not listened to Voices in the Wood, which you super should, because it's just so cool in concept of how Kendo did all of that. Um, Especially considering like taking a solo TTRPG, turning it into a radio show, coming up with like how that was gonna happen, like all of that. It's so cool in concept. I love it so much. Um, but Kendo very specifically was looking for like independent musicians for the submission for all of that. And so there's so much good music that came out of that, and there's so many musicians that I listen to now that came from that, and it was like, it's such a cool project to be a part of, and I like got very excited if Kendo ever does a season 2 to just be like, hello, I have more.
Hello, would you like more music? I mean, on the note of TTRPGs, how did you... Well, I mean, what's your origin story with TTRPGs?
Oh god, this is so funny, because, like, I feel like there's a point, at least for me, and like, some of my friends, I know this was kind of the truth of it, was, like, Dungeons and Dragons had a very different reputation when I was in high school until Stranger Things happened. And like I started playing D&D right as like D&D started really kind of becoming like a really big thing in popular media, at least, cuz it was like Critical Role Campaign 2 was 20 something episodes in. So they had just started campaign 2. And Stranger Things season 1 was like airing. So it was like that was happening. Until that point, D&D was the line in the sand where cuz all the usual stereotypes of like it's gross sweaty guys in their mother's basement and blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
It's that I'm a nerd, but I'm not that big of a nerd,
basically
type of thing. Yeah.
I was just like, I was like, I don't know. And then, my best friend in high school introduced me to Critical Role. um, it all comes back to Critical Role. I'm wearing a shirt and everything. But my best friend in high school we were talking about voice acting, and I happened to list off like a bunch of my favorite voice actors were all the main cast of Vox Machina, basically. And that was the first kind of moment where I went, okay, I'll give the show a try. Because she was trying to get me to try D&D. She was just like, it was really fun and blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this show that you recommended me, and we'll go from there. And it was the very first time I experienced D&D as a way to tell stories. Because at that point, I was still in I was in the camp of trying to convince my classmates in high school that video games were like one of the best storytelling mediums. And I was at an all-girls school where like most of the girls were really not into that. I'm just like, I promise it's so good. So I get introduced to Critical Role. I start watching campaign 1. I make it through the first 30 episodes with a certain somebody at the table. That includes the Dorolo arc, unfortunately, or it's like right before
yeah, it gets really
big arc.
Yeah.
And oh man, I latched the fuck onto that shit. I'm big into theater, but then I was like kind of was it was like second half of senior year in high school. I was into college. I was figuring out what the fuck school I was gonna go to, which I decided on decision day, on May 1st of my senior year. I declared what school I was going to. It was
wild.
It was a time. Well, I had like soft committed to like 2 other schools. I had said yes to one school, and then financial aid like wasn't really looking like it was gonna happen for that school. And like none of these, I didn't really have a dream school, because I wanted to go to theater. I wanted to go to school for musical theater. I was like very set on trying to go to school for musical theater. And if you are a theater person, you are aware of like the absolute, honestly, kind of shit show that is trying to get into BFA programs in college. It's hellish. And like now that I'm out of college, I'm very happy that I was not in a BFA program. And even when I was in school, I was really happy I wasn't in the BFA program, because there were things that I was told about exercises that were being done in acting class or like expectations about your body that were being that people were being told that they had to like do, or like stuff. And I was like, I'm so good, actually. Um I also found out in college that I have like really bad anxiety when it comes to auditions, and I was like, I'm done, actually. Um but I wanted, like, my senior year, I wasn't in a show, I wasn't doing anything, and I was just kind of lost. So like D&D was a very like, we're gonna latch on to this. It got me writing again. Like the fact that it's basically just long form improv with dice and math. I was like, ooh, okay. And I went from being a very vibes-based D&D player to really getting into the mechanics over the course of like 3 or 4 years. Like my first 3 or 4 years. Because I loved the RP. The RP was great. Um, Never quite got the hang of combat. I wasn't terrible at it. But I like spellcasting, really couldn't wrap my brain around it. And then, which is hilarious now because I main spellcasters and everything, including Atheum. Um, because I think magic's cool, but like a wizard is not necessarily the most friendly
No,
class to play if you're not
not
new to doing all
yeah.
of that.
As somebody who started as a spellcaster as their very first character, don't suggest it at all. I
I
was a
started as a
cleric.
bard, so I had like kind of
Oh,
that happy medium.
yeah.
But it was a lot of like, oh wait, I don't reading is hard, and then I went, fuck it, I'm not gonna play a bard, and then I played a wild magic barbarian, who still ended up multiclassing to
Oh
wizard
god.
for the vibes
For the
later.
vibes, not for the vibes.
Not literally just for the vibes. I was just like, I
Oh my
am
god.
well aware that just like mechanically, terrible idea because rage will get rid of any spells that I'm doing. However,
Exactly.
the vibes.
Vibes, yeah. For sure. For sure. But how did you move from just playing games like with your friend group to getting into the AP space?
So I had a TikTok go viral is what happened. Because I'm a note taker. I am very I guess notoriously a note taker, which was more true of like my early AP days. I literally have one of my notebooks sitting on my desk from a session I had on Monday, where like this is how you know that it was a juicy session. Like this is
It's
every
like,
single page
ooh, the
just looks
tea
like
is
that.
hot.
Um, but I I was scrolling TikTok and I discovered a little thing called Obsidian Notes. Uh and I if you don't know what Obsidian is, it's a like notation software that also you can kind of string together and link everything. And there's a graph view, so it looks like you just have like a big web of digital conspiracy thing. And I spent about 5 hours where I just put in my campaign. I put in a bunch of notes about characters and campaigns and connections, and was just having a lot of fun with it. And I made a really bullshit nothing video where I was just like, I learned about Obsidian. This was a mistake. Here are all of these things, and I remember it so clearly because my friends and I were freaking out over it. It was Thanksgiving Day of my senior year in college. Um, I started getting a bunch of notifications, and I was just like, okay, whatever, swipe it. And then I got like a flood of text messages that afternoon from my friends that were like, "Hey, check your TikTok." And I was just like, "Why? What happened?" And I was just like, "Oh, my what?" It had like 1,000 view. It had like 1,000 views or 1,000 likes or something like that. And like by the end of the day, it had like jumped to like 100,000, and then it had like gone from that to like even more than that. I went from, I want to say, like I had like maybe 250, like I had a couple hundred followers at the time on TikTok, something like that. by the end of the week after, I was at 2,000 followers, and I was just like, what the fuck happened? What is this? And I
Hell
suddenly
yeah.
became mutuals with all these people. And then the very first time I played on camera, was for a show called Star Lost, that I'm very good friends with. I'm friends with the cast and crew. They're lovely, lovely people. I was invited to play. Well, what happened was I became mutuals with one of the players who's also like the main showrunner and the DM, and we were talking and chatting and getting to know each other. And then I wrote a song. I wrote a dumbass sea shanty based on my favorite NPC from their campaign 1, whose name was Eggold, but they had like a joke early on that his name was like the Duke of Egg, and I had me being dumb and having word association queen as a power of mine, I guess. Uh Went and I wrote a whole song, a whole sea shanty about the Duke of Egg, and it was the dumbest thing. And I posted it, and I progressively became friends with the rest of the cast through that. Because they were like, this is just so cursed and stupid, but this is great. And also, what the fuck? People write songs about our show.
Hell yeah.
So then I got invited to be on a one-shot, like a Halloween one-shot. And it was the very first time I'd ever played D&D on camera for content. It was 12 hours long, which is a very long time to be on camera. And I was, like, comfortable being on camera to an extent because I was already, like, kind of streaming on Twitch, just playing video games and being an idiot for funsies. And then that happened, and I was just like, well, like, between Obsidian the year before and then, like, being on camera playing D&D, I was just like, oh, I kinda wanna do this more. But it was still very casual. And then PAX U 22 was my very first PAX U. First convention ever. I'd specifically picked like something that was close, something that was on the smaller side, and something that was like hyperfixation central. Had no idea what to expect. It was still when there were so many that we had to present like our vaccination proof. We had these little orange ribbons like that we had to wear around our wrists for the entire weekend. And in like by the Arch Street entrance where like Will Call is and stuff, we had to like hold up our arm and walk through with the orange band showing so they wouldn't stop us to ask for it. Like, it was wild first con to do. I met Wes at that convention, and I missed the musicians panel because I had work on the Friday night and just couldn't make it, so it was fine. I was sad, and Wes happened to be on like a trivia panel the day after, and I went up to Wes, and I don't remember what I was planning on asking him, but I ended up asking him a completely different question. He signed my D&D notes from the time, actually, and we talked for about 45 minutes, and he gave me his business card, and told me to listen to some of the stuff that I had at the time, which was like the D&D themes that I'd written for my friends, and I sent him an email, a ridiculously long email actually, that was just like, hi, I'm this girl that you met at this con and blah 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 blah. And then I got added to a composers thing, and then I don't know. I did a few more things for Star Lost, and then I'm like trying to track. I'm like, my life went from 0 to 60 real quick, so I'm like trying to track where things happened. And then at PAX U23, I went, and that's what PAX U23 is where the Paper Dragons actually started. Because I had business cards for the first time, and I didn't know how to tell people that I was also a creator. So I presented Little Paper Dragon, and we led with that instead of leading with business card. And I was just like, I just want to meet people. I want to make friends. People like getting them. It's a lot of my friends, like Shelly, have like a little growing collection. a couple people like Dan Pixel and Whitney Smoking Glue Guns um have like a few more than everybody else because because they like uh in Dan's case, Dan lives like an hour and a half away from me. And then in Whitney's case, I've worked for her for a few other cons last year where really it was just an excuse to hang out with one of my favorite people. And every time I would bring her a little guy. And then after PAX U23, like it really just kind of snowballed, and I hear now, I guess.
I'm here.
I hear now. No, it was the funniest thing was like Wes had told me about like people going and doing like what people are referring to as like LobbyCon. I've heard is how people refer to it at other cons that aren't PAX U, but I've never heard anybody ever call it that for PAX U, but that is what it is. And Wes and I happened to get there at the same time, and I walked in, and a few creators that I had met earlier that day were like, "Oh my god, Grace, you're friends with Wes?" And I was like, "Yeah." And my best friend from high school was just like, "You have street cred, bro," when I told her the story later, and I was like, that is the wildest way you could have described that, but sure, I guess.
Street cred.
Street cred. In a room full
with
of
the
nerds. Let's go.
I was like...
But I met a whole bunch of people, a lot of whom are still my friends today, and a lot of them are now, like, some of my favorite people that I've gotten to know, and it's part of the reason I love going to cons. I go to as many as I can. I'll be at Gen Con. I met Shelly at a con, like...
I think we met at PAX Unplugged 24. I think that's... Because that was my
24?
first... Yeah, because that was my first con that I went to. No, well, okay. I did go to Gen Con in 2024, but I worked it, so I didn't get to talk to anybody. I didn't.
Gen Con 2024 was a weird Gen Con.
It was really weird. I also was very mad because Gen Con 2024, I caught COVID.
No.
Yeah. I was so mad. My voice went out. I caught COVID, and I was like, I'm so fucking mad. But PAX Unplugged was the first one that I got to, was the first con that I got to, like, do, like, networking and actually being around people. So yeah, it was a fun time. Yeah. It was a good time. Yeah. I went to a few cons in 2024. I worked 2 of them. I was on vacation for one of them because it was in Australia. And I was just like, I'll go to PAX Australia. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? And then, yeah, PAX Unplugged was like the first one where I was like, I'm just here. I'm vibing. Here I am.
I like making friends. I'm so awkward in person comparatively though. But like I'm in such a, like, it's so funny because like some people have described me as like a quiet person. And I'm like, I am an introvert, believe it or not. It just happens to be I am in, like, as I describe it, Ghostlight G mode when I go to a con. And I'm suddenly, like, the most sociable person ever. And it's wild to me.
If I'm in drag, I'm usually more sociable because I put on the Shelly persona.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, if I'm like this at a con, I'm like, hey guys, what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the happy combination of like I am dressed at like the most me that I will ever be. Like I'm in the most comfortable with like what I'm wearing, and I'm the happiest of like how I look, combined with like I'm in a room full of some of my favorite people, and I'm about to go spend a stupid amount of money on stuff.
I spent so much money. What con was it at?
We're not going to talk about how much I spent at Gen Con last year. We're not
going to talk about it. I spent a good amount of money, but I also got a lot of stuff for free at Gen Con last year, and I was just like, oh, I've got to rearrange my bag. Shit.
I worked for Whitney last year at Gen Con, and I gave myself like one afternoon where I went and I hit the floor, and I went and I said hi to a bunch of like indie publishers that I had spoken to before. just to say hi to people. And a lot of it was just like saying hi to people. And then I got overstimulated and went back to the booth with like 2 giant bags. And I was just like, I have done my shopping. I am done.
I am complete. I am good. I'm excited for Gen Con, but I'm not excited for Gen Con because I'm like, I'm gonna spend so much money. No, I can't do this. I can't do it.
Gen Con's like one the con where a lot of like people that I know, a lot of the dice makers I know are at Gen Con
Yeah.
at this point, either in the makers market or otherwise. And through working with Whitney, actually, like there are several people who there not several. There are a couple vendors at Gen Con last year who recognized me from like KatsuCon and GalaxyCon Richmond because I was working for Whitney, and they were like, "Oh my God, are you here with Smoking Glue Guns again?" And I was like, "I am. Hello, how are you
I
doing?"
am. Hello. Hi. How's it going?
Shout out
How are we
Whitney,
doing?
by the way.
Love Whitney. Love you, Whitney. Love you.
Even if I am afraid of you when we play Magic.
Oh my gosh. Vile. Toxic. And I told it to her face on her birthday. I was just like, I love
For
you.
how short of a time that Whitney has been playing, it is incredible
toxic.
what she built.
It's like, I want to know how your mind works, because what the fuck is going on there? I'm like, I need to pick your brain, because whoa. I mean, on this note of like being around people in the space and everything like that, what have been some of your favorite moments of making content in the TTRPG space?
Atheum's an easy one. I am a main cast member on Fall of Atheum, which is Whitney's newest her newest AP show, and we're playing Daggerheart. It's such a good group. It's so fun. I love it so much. I just, even if I'm having like a really shit day going into Atheum, like I go and I laugh my ass off for like 3 hours, and it's great. Because I'm just not a human being by the time we start streaming for Atheum. So I'm also at like my silliest and least filtered, and it has led to so many clips. Or it's like, bad rolls. I think another big highlight, these are all gonna be like dumb things I've done in APs for the most part, but like, well, except for Wes and I did a duet of Touch the Sky at Gen Con last year on the last night at like 10 p.m. when both of our voices were shot. And it was so fun. We did it. We managed to. Both of us were so tired, so we were silly, but we still managed to get it done in like an hour. And we were like, yeah. I like Wes's show last year.
So good.
At Gen Con. He
Loved
played
it.
Touch the Sky, and I sat in a booth crying a little bit because I was like, oh, I'm so happy. But he had this whole speech that he did right before he sang Touch the Sky, and I was just like, oh, I love you so much, you're amazing. I don't know, there's been so many, there's too many to count at this point. Hanging out at PAX East last year was really great. PAX East as a whole last year was really great.
PAX East is a good one. I like PAX East because I get to have like the combo of both my Twitch and TTRPG friends, and I'm like, yay, I get to see both. Because not all my Twitch friends go to Gen Con or PAX Unplugged, and not all my TTRPG friends go to like TwitchCon.
I got to hang out with a Pokemon creator that I've been friends with, because that first D&D one shot I was in, we were in that one shot together.
Oh, that's so cool.
So we got to hang out. We got to hang out in person for the first time at PAX East last year, and that was so fun. I'm also like, I'm such a big nerd. I had wanted to go to PAX East since I was like 12. And PAX East 25 was my first time going. And I had a creator badge, and like the entire time I was just like, what is my life right now? It was one of those, like, my life
Amazing.
has taken a trajectory I wasn't expecting, but I'm not going to complain about it kind of things. And it's been a lot of that. Um, Especially, like, with, like, mental health and a bunch of other stuff that's been happening for me over the last year. Like, my mental health has been a mess. And I almost didn't go to PAX U because I didn't think I was going to be able to afford it. And my friends basically paid for me to go because they were like, we want you here and we think you need this right now. And then, like, everybody I ran into that weekend, in some way, shape, or form, was just, like, so nice and so sweet. I cried a bunch. It was fine. It was great, honestly. And just, like, knowing that, like, I am, like, a part of the community. Paxi was actually also one of the first times I was just like, oh, I've never thought of myself as being somebody that's, like, pretty recognizable. And then somebody on day 0, when we were going to get our badges, I was with Dan and Whitney, like, going to pick up our media badges, and somebody went, oh, Grace and Whitney, and I was just like, what? Because Whitney's super recognizable, but I don't think I'm super recognizable. So when I heard that, I was like, fear. I've been
You're like, don't perceive me. Well, I mean, on the note of being perceived at a con, will we ever get a Ghostlight G concert?
I don't, here's the thing, is I don't think it would ever go through. Not from like a submission point, and that's not as much of, like, a lack of confidence in my work. It's a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, on paper, I don't have the same following that a lot of my very close friends in the TTRPG, like, space do on any of the platforms that I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
But I have so many friends, and I'm extremely well connected within the space. And really all of that just came from, hi, I have Little Dragon. Would you like to be friends? Let's nerd out and talk about shit for a while.
So you're saying if I approach you about it before the con for PAX Unplugged 2026,
I might cry, but I would be very touched if you wanted that to be a thing.
just gonna write that down. We're gonna make a note.
That's crazy.
We're gonna make a note. We're gonna make a note. Well, on that note, plug your shit. Tell the people where they can find you.
Oh my god, I am Ghostlight G literally everywhere except for Twitter, which is Ghostlight Grace, and everything's linked to each other, because I made sure I did that when I was putting things together. I do variety streams on Twitch. Sometimes, not very often. Mostly, it's a lot of something has to go when I'm not feeling like being a human being, and Twitch is always that first thing, because I don't feel like sitting down. But it is also, like, one of my favorite things, because it's the thing I don't have to think about, because usually it's just me playing a video game. Or me playing Mario Party and bullying, specifically Sean Help Action Needed. We played Stardew yesterday.
Oh, perfect.
We were raising money for Aqua DC. And man, it was just a whole lot of
chaos.
The beginning of the stream was a lot of, like, white boy, why?
No white boy. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I greatly appreciate you.
Talked about a whole lot of, I don't know. I said
a whole lot of
words.
stuff. A lot of things. You can find all of Grace's links down in the doobly-doo, the show notes, everything like that. Speaking of finding people on the internet, you can find me everywhere on the internet at Shelly Von Miller. You can find the podcast everywhere you get your podcasts, to include visually on Spotify and YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, things like that. Tell me who you want to see in season 4. Look, we're doing at the time of recording, we're preparing. Season 4 premiere is August 4th, 3rd, 4th, something like that. Guess where it's going to be at? Well, guess where it's going to be at? It's going to be live at Gen Con. Yeah, you can get your tickets right now at gencon.com. Look up After the Table Live or City of Glass Games, which that's who's sponsoring, and I posted all my stuff through. We're going to have some amazing people to include Hannah Plays D&D, Matt Stormcrow, PJ McGaw, and Smallbird Lex. We have some amazing people on the panel. And you can also check it down in my beacons. There's a link in my beacons, I promise. Y'all are gonna be sick of me by the time Gen Con rolls around.
Love you, Shelly. We love you.
Get out of here. Don't be nice to me. I'm being perceived. Speaking of perceiving, we're going to go perceive over on Patreon for our Patreon exclusive segment called Table Sets. It's the last one for the season. Come on. Drop $7. Get behind the paywall. It's okay. But yeah, with all that being said, thank y'all so much for a lovely season 3. And I love you guys very much. And I will see you on the internet. Goodbye.